Imagine, if you will, the bustling streets of ancient Athens, where free male citizens gathered to engage in heartfelt debates and vote directly on the laws that would govern their lives. It was around the early 5th century BCE that this vibrant experiment in democracy flourished, creating a political atmosphere reminiscent of a grand symphony. Every voice counted, every vote echoed. But how did this Athenian democracy truly function? Well, picture a scene where all eligible citizens, roughly 10 to 20% of the population, looked each other in the eye, faced with the profound responsibility of shaping their community. In this realm, decisions weren't handed down from on high but were made collectively. The ecclesia, the assembly, served as the heart of this democratic experiment, a forum where passionate deliberation ruled the day. And when it came time to fill government positions, instead of campaigns and elections rife with ambition, Athenians employed sortition, a sort of lottery system. What were they aiming for? A government free from the taint of corruption, where the social elite didn't monopolize power. Yet this ideal was still wrapped tightly around the exclusion of women, slaves, and foreigners. How can you embrace the spirit of democracy while closing the doors to so many? Now let's shift our gaze to the west, the sun-kissed hills of Rome. The Roman Republic, rising from the ashes of monarchy in 509 BCE, brought forth a governance system that bore both the flair of democracy and the weight of oligarchy. Power here was found in a more representative structure, where elected officials known as magistrates stepped into the spotlight, chief among them the two consuls who shared the mantle of leadership. But lurking in the shadows was the Senate, a body predominantly composed of wealthy aristocrats, wielding significant influence that often overshadowed the assembly's voice. Can you hear the whispers of conflict resonating in the marble halls? The Romans engineered a much more complex electoral system than their Athenian counterparts. Gone were the days of open assemblies. Instead, various assemblies with distinct voting rights braided themselves into a tapestry that defined citizenship. Here, if you were Roman, there was eventually a wider net spread. Conquered territories began to share in the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. While Athenian democracy seemed to elevate the citizen, did it not also embed social divisions that the Roman Republic sought to navigate? But let's not forget the seasons of strife that beset Athenian democracy. The Peloponnesian War loomed like a storm cloud, draining resources, factionalizing the populace, and corrupting the very ideals it sought to uphold. There was also the infamous trial of Socrates, a poignant reminder that democracy could falter under the weight of its own collective will. How could a society celebrating the value of thought and dialogue turn so swiftly against its own philosopher? The rise of oligarchic movements and the gradual decline of Athenian military dominance marked a turbulent chapter, culminating in the gradual erosion of the very ideals that birthed their democracy. Now, when we examine citizen participation, the differences become stark. Athenian citizens were galvanized to vote, to engage face-to-face in the crucible of decision-making. Yet this dynamic was one of exclusion, cutting off vast segments of society. In contrast, within the Roman framework, citizens participated indirectly through elected representatives. It offered a sense of inclusion, albeit at the cost of direct influence over the nuances of governance. As these two systems unfolded, one valued direct involvement, while the other emphasized representation, each reflecting the zeitgeist of their respective societies. The enduring legacy of Athenian democracy in the Roman Republic reached through the centuries, influencing the very foundations of modern governance. They linger not merely as relics of the past, but as living concepts that ignite debates today about participation, representation, and the delicate balance of power among social classes. And so here we stand, drawing on the lessons of our forebears. How does Athenian democracy and Roman republicanism resonate in our current political landscape? The echoes of their struggles, their successes, and their failures remind us that the quest for an ideal governance structure is eternally relevant. As we ponder these historical frameworks, let's ask ourselves, how do these ancient systems inform our contemporary challenges? We may still navigate the labyrinth of power, asking ourselves how best to ensure that every voice matters, even in societies as complex as our own. This journey into the realms of ancient political thought not only illuminates the past, but challenges us to think deeply about our present and future, reminding us that the past is always prologue.